Ever heard that fighting is 90% mental and 10% physical? Here's why that's misleading. This common saying assumes three things. One, that you already have enough physical to be in the game. And two, that it's fight time and not training time. And three, that mental and physical aspects work independently, and they don't. And this oversimplification is exactly why fighters find their skills disappear when it matters the most. I've spent 3 decades both fighting and coaching fighters, and I've discovered there's a systematic process that makes skills actually transfer to fights. It works for everyone, and today I'm going to show you exactly how. Fighters, welcome back to another episode of Heat Trick Muay Thai Performance. Let's break this down using a classic framework: mind, body, and spirit. Or, if you prefer less woo-woo terminology, mental, physical, and emotional. These aren't just fancy words, they're measurable components. Mental is your technical and tactical game, your fight IQ, intelligence quotient. Physical is your athletic performance capabilities, your physical quotient, or PQ. Emotional is your mindset and control under pressure, your emotional quotient, or EQ. These three components overlap and affect each other. Weakness in one topples the others, but here's the key: they must be built in the right order. Let's use a head kick as a real example of how this works. Before you even think about throwing head kicks in fights, you need the physical foundation. This isn't just about being fit. It's about having specific physical capabilities that make the technique possible. First, you need the basic movement capacity, the flexibility to get your leg up there, the mobility through your hips to rotate properly, the stability in your standing leg to maintain balance. Then you need the strength and the power to actually deliver force. But here's where most fighters get it wrong. They jump straight to the power before building these foundations. And crucially, you need the energy systems to support this technique, not just for one beautiful head kick in round 1, but to throw it effectively in round 5 when you're exhausted. And this means developing both your cardiovascular engine and your local muscular endurance. Without the right physical foundation, it doesn't matter how well you know the technique. It just simply won't be there when you need it. With the right physical foundation, you can practice the technique and develop that coordinated balance and force transfer skill to build the efficient striking technique, just like I explained in the force principle in the 5 laws episode. I'll drop a link in the caption below for that. We can already see how the physical, PQ, and the mental or technical tactical fight IQ overlap. Pushing further into the technical Muay Thai side of the equation now, here's something crucial I've learned. There's a massive difference between changing a skill, maintaining a skill, and testing a skill under pressure and fatigue. They're completely different stages of the skill development process. When you're either learning a new technique or correcting a bad habit, you need to practice it fresh, focused, and unfatigued, because the brain and body are creating new coordination pathways. At this stage, it takes a lot of cognitive focus to stay on track, or you'll start to bank poor technique. Skill is built with many repetitions, and with practice, that sequence of coordinated steps becomes a single cognitive command, and the skill just happens with little demand on your mental bandwidth. Think about writing with your non-dominant hand. At first, it takes a lot of concentration, but with enough practice, it becomes automatic. Fighting skills work the same way. And only after a technique becomes automatic can you start testing it under fatigue. What I call tough training, TUF, technique under fatigue, such as burnout drills on the pads, fight-paced pad work, bag work, and sparring, and shark tanks against a relay of fresh opponents. And here's where most training goes wrong: testing skills under fatigue before they're truly automatic. You risk ingraining sloppy habits. Speaking of fatigue and fight IQ, let's talk about something that most fighters completely miss: energy management. Different techniques have different energy costs. A jab might be a 1 on the energy scale, while that head kick we talked about might be an 8 or 9. This isn't just about cardio, it's about how to distribute your workload. Smart fighters shift between different weapons: punches, kicks, elbows, knees, clinch, and between left and right sides. It's like interval training built into your fight style. While one area recovers, another works. Your work rate continues without locally fatiguing muscles so quickly. And this is where nutrition and recovery become crucial. I've seen countless fighters with perfect technique fall apart simply because they didn't fuel or recover properly. Getting this wrong is like trying to race a car with no fuel in the tank. Now here's where everything can come together beautifully or fall apart completely: your emotional element, your EQ. This is why that fighter who looks mediocre in the gym sometimes shines on fight night. while the gym superstar crumbles under the pressure. Your physical and technical abilities represent what you're capable of, but your emotional control determines how much of that capability you can actually access under stress. Let me explain using the Yerkes-Dodson curve that shows how arousal, that fight or flight response, affects your performance. A little bit of arousal helps. That's why you feel sharper and more alert when the pressure's on. But too much and everything starts to break down. Think about your first fight or interclub or smoker. Your heart's racing, the adrenaline's pumping, and suddenly those techniques you've drilled hundreds of times feel foreign. That's because that high emotional arousal literally reduces your cognitive bandwidth. Your fine motor skills drop, your muscles tighten up, and only the most robust, well-practiced techniques will survive. This is why you need to be realistic about which skills you've actually drilled enough to become automatic, and crucially, also survive that technique under fatigue testing. In your first few fights, that slick spinning elbow counter you've been practicing, chances are it won't get further than a cheeky thought during the warm-up. So, how do we put this all together? Here's your action plan. First, build your physical foundation systematically. Don't skip steps. The greater your athletic ability, the less demanding even the most challenging skills become. Second, develop your technical skills in the right sequence. Master the basics before complexity. If you can't do something fresh and focused, you definitely can't do it tired and under pressure. And remember, technique under fatigue, tough training only works for skills that are already automatic. Third, manage your emotional state through preparation and perspective. Trust in your training is huge here. When you know you've built solid physical and technical foundations, it actually helps you control that fight or flight response. And here's something crucial I've learned after decades in the sport. Develop a growth mindset. Be okay with losing, but be prepared to go out on your shield. Your job actually isn't to win. It's to show that warrior spirit. I felt prouder in fights I've lost in an absolute war than the ones where I've won, but didn't really feel like I got going. And when people come up to you after a loss saying, "I love watching you fight," that means more than winning a boring decision. Remember, fighting isn't 90% mental and 10% physical. It's 100% integration of your physical capability, your technical mastery, and emotional control. Stack these elements in the right order. Build your physical foundation first. Layer your technical skills systematically, then test and prove them under pressure. This is exactly how we approach training in my Heavy Hitters program. We build pressure-proof skills by following exactly this framework, step by step. If you want to learn more about this and how to implement this in your training, click the link in the description below. And if you found this episode helpful, hit that YouTube hype button and make sure you like and subscribe for more technical breakdowns like this.
Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with someone else it could help too. Please give the podcast a review or comment below. We'd love to hear from you. As always, you can visit heatrick.com for more Muay Thai performance podcasts, videos, articles, and guides. Catch you next time.